Hi everyone. I'm trying to light my face. What the? Hold on. Oh shit. Fell out. Hang on. I'm trying to light my face because I've got the blinds drawn. And there's nothing wrong with my living room. It's just that I don't want people seeing me in my nightie. So keeping the blinds closed. Hang on. Trying to fucking. I'm gonna turn this off. See how I get on with it. But yeah, I'm angry at the moment. And that's probably more MK Ultra bollocks. But I feel like this anger that I have inside me is a really good opportunity to talk about how, as an adult, you process your past and what you happened to you as a kid. Because whilst I agree that there should be like a certain limitation period in which you put yourself through the ringer over the past, there should be a time limit on it, because I feel like I wasted a lot of my life to the past. I feel like my entire younger years were just a shrine to the past. Whilst I feel like there should be a time limit on that, I feel like whenever we come across some new realizations about our lives and what we've been through, we should give ourselves the opportunity to share what we've learned with one another. And if you're thinking that this is just me ranting, it is, but I just wanted to share with everyone what I learned in the hopes that they can also heal themselves in much the same way. Now, you guys remember me telling you, there are some of you remember me telling you that when it comes to childhood abuses that have gone on in my life, one of my regrets is not being able to hurt the same person back in the way that they hurt me, either because they were older than me, bigger than me, stronger than me, or more intimidating than me, right? But there's a second component to my anger that I had only just realized and been able to articulate now. The second problem that I'm having is that people hurt me and then act like they didn't, or acted like their pain was more important than mine and therefore it didn't matter that they hurt me. It's the lies. Truth be told, people do this to each other all the time. They hurt each other and either they forget that they hurt the person because they were lashing out and they needed their moment to be cheap, or when they do hurt somebody else and they can remember it clearly, they'll lie and gaslight the person that they hurt. And from my experience, it doesn't matter whether it's family, friends, or love, they will all do the same thing. They will hurt you, and in the bid to stop you from hating them because they're hurt enough as it is, they want to tell you how to feel. So they will gaslight you. They will tell you haven't been through anything. Really, I went through a lot of shit as a kid. And nobody really protected me because nobody wanted to. I was one of those people where it was just easier to hurt me than it was to take care of me. And I know that people are gonna, feel slighted by me saying that, but there was really nothing noble or nothing profound behind the hurt that I went through. I was just an easy target, and it's as simple as that. I'm not innocent. Let's get something straight. I'm not innocent, never have been, never will be. Okay? But there is something about me as a person that people find easy. Fucking hell, I'm so sorry about this. I'm trying to plug in my phone. There's something about me that people want to tear apart. There's something in me that people want to destroy. Maybe I'm annoying, probably. And I've always said that people will literally murder a person for being annoying more than being abusive or being unkind or being cruel. I could have been as cruel as I wanted to be. If only I wasn't annoying. But what is annoying? Annoying is usually related to somebody who's very, very sensitive. So, because I was a sensitive kid, it wasn't because I was a bitch. And the thing is, I could be a bitch, but that's not the problem that people had with me. That wasn't it. Because there are plenty of bitches who have come and gone, plenty of cunts worse than me, have loads of friends, loads of people that they can call their friends, loads of cheerleaders. Plenty of people who are just the worst types of people on the planet. And they've got plenty of friends. Plenty of people in their corner. So it was never that. It was never the fact that I did wrong. It was never the fact that I made mistakes. That's not why I was hurt. I was hurt because I was sensitive. It was easy to hurt me, and that's what gave people cheap enjoyment. And then when I did something wrong, it became easy for them to validate their bullying behavior rather than admit to themselves what the real issue was. The reason I'm angry is not because people have hurt me. It's bad that they hurt me. Yes, it is. It is bad. I could tell you some things that I went through as a small child that would absolutely stun people. I could tell you the shit that I went through as a teenager that would just absolutely horrify people. I could tell you some tales, and all of them would be true. Fuck all the lies that, I used to tell as a kid, like to get attention. The truth was so much worse than anything I could ever tell people. When it comes to the abuse and when it comes to everything, it felt better to live in a fictional reality than a real one, because in the real one, people lied anyway. At least in a fictional world, everybody knows it was fictional. Everybody knows it's not real. But if you're living in a real reality where you're being abused as a kid, sexually, emotionally, and physically, and everybody around you is lying to you about how much you're going through because they don't want to deal with the guilt of what they did to you, where does that leave you? I'm thinking, if you're going to abuse me, if you're going to hurt me, at least call it what it is. I feel like everything that my life has turned out to be is a result of the gaslighting. It's a result of all the psychological tricks that have been played on me in order to convince me that my life was really not that bad, when in actuality it was fucking terrible. I feel cheated out of the opportunity to find out what I could really be, to find out the potential I could really have once I knew how people really felt about me, once they stopped pretending to love me. I feel like I missed the opportunity to be somebody. I could have been somebody if only the people who abused me just owned up to it and just said, look, we're doing this because we hate you. We're doing this because you're annoying. We're doing this because you're easier to target. We're doing this because we don't like you. We don't know why we don't like you. We just don't. We enjoy doing this. Just say it. Why don't you just say it? Let me live my life. Let it be clear. Let it be clear. If you have to if you're abusing me and you have to fucking gaslight me about what I'm going through and say I'm not going through anything, then you shouldn't be fucking doing it. If you have to lie and gaslight, you should not be fucking doing it. In fact, you shouldn't even be doing it in the first place. The fact that you're abusing me to begin with in childhood, in teenagehood, in adulthood. The fact that you're even abusing me is bad enough, but then you got to lie and gaslight? Then why do it then? Why do it if you can't do it with your whole chest? I think what they're really scared of is if they admitted to themselves what they did to me and why they did it, that I would find out my strength a lot sooner. And I think that is what people didn't want. Because, like I said, I could tell you some tales. Somebody else that I loved went through even worse than I did. They went through it early. There was no lies and no pretense about the way they were being treated. So early on, they saw what they were made of. I never got that chance because I was continuously gaslit that I wasn't going through anything, that nothing was going on. All full of praise for me in public, and then in private, just doing the most awful things. And then I grow up and replace my family with mental health, replace my family with landlords and work colleagues and bosses, replace them with educational authorities, replace them with fucking hell, with the man on the street, replace everybody in private with all these fucking people hurting you, loving it, not having the fucking bollocks to call it what it is. People want to be homophobic but don't want to call it homophobic. People want to call it, people want to gay bash but don't want to call it gay bashing. People want to be racist but don't want to call it racism. People want to be misogynist but don't want to call it what it is. People want to hate women but don't want to admit that it's hatred of women. People want to hate women but don't want to say it. What, like, if you have this much hate in you, why would you not own up to it? If you really thought in your heart of hearts you had the right to be this way. There are some of the most awful human beings on the planet. Some of the most awful human beings on the planet who have done the most awful things that I could never ever have as much anger towards as I do some of the people in my life, for the simple reason that those people did those awful things, owned up to it, held their hands up and said, yeah, I fucking did that. And what? The problem is people want to do evil things. This is the problem that I have. I've done awful things. I still do awful things. I still say awful things. You see my social media, but I call this shit what it is. Nobody ever wants to call the shit what it is, and that's why I have so much anger inside me. That's the thing that triggers me. Oh, it was just the way things were. That's just the way. No, you were being an abusive cunt. Don't talk to me about the way things were. Don't talk to me about that's just the way things are. You knew what you were doing. A lot of people who abused me then and who are abusing me now, they know exactly what they're doing. But they want to sit there and lie. I don't know if there are other abuse victims who feel this way. Well, actually, no. I'm going to take that back. I know for a fact that there are a lot of abuse victims who feel the same way that I do. Maybe not all of them. Well, that's another definite. Definitely not all abuse victims feel like this. Or all abuse survivors feel like this. I know it's definitely not all, but I know there's definitely some who feel exactly the same way I do. It was never the abuse. But when you gaslight somebody about what you're doing to them, you're denying them the opportunity to find out who they truly are, so that you can remain in control over them, so that you could have some damage control. I'm thinking, if you need to prepare for the consequences rather than accept the consequences, why the fuck are you doing it? What, because you can? That's not a reason. Because you can ain't a reason when you're trying to cover this shit up. That's not a reason. So that's why I'm angry. Nobody here has said anything, but the past has a way of getting you and clutching your brain and bringing up all kinds of things that you really want to forget. But the hardest thing I find to forgive, 3 things. The first thing is taking traits of mine, bullying me with them and villainizing them, and then when I turn around and do something wrong, you make out like it's the worst thing in the world in order to justify your abusive bullshit. That's the first thing. The second thing is the denial of what you've done. Either the straight denial of what you've done or you gaslighting that it's not that serious. That's the second thing that pisses me off. Yeah? The second thing that pisses me off is that people gaslight or lie about what they're doing. Because you want to gain control over the situation and you don't want people to hate you for what you did and for what you intended. But you don't want people to hate you for it. You want to maintain as much control over the outcome of what you've done as possible. Once you throw that stone in the water, how the fuck do you control the ripples? And the third thing is, I'm angry because I didn't hurt these people as much as they hurt me. But then looking back, there are some instances where I don't know if I could have done that. I don't know if I realistically could have hurt these people the same way they hurt me. I don't know if I realistically could have done that. But that's at the source of my anger. That's always at the source of my anger. It doesn't matter what abuse I go through. It doesn't matter who's doing it. That's always going to be the reason that I'm pissed off. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. I'm indifferent to the people that hate me most of the time. What is it about my presence that has people so pressed to begin with that they want to make an example out of me and they want to try to rewrite my reality and want to take away my strength? What is it about me that has you so pressed? And what is it about you that can't mind your business? What is it about you? What is it about you that feels the need to humiliate and abuse? And what is it about you that feels the need to do that in order to feel good? Because I have to admit, right, when I cuss somebody out and I get someone the fuck together, I do get a sort of pleasure out of it. But the only time when I really get some pleasure out of it is when they've done something really fucking horrid. And even then, it doesn't last long. So I gotta wonder what kind of pleasure people are getting out of being that fucking narcissistic, being that much of a vapid fucking vacuum. Well, not vapid. But how are you getting pleasure out of this? How are you getting pleasure out of living as such an empty fucking void? But I feel that now that I understand at least some of where my anger is coming from, and I can articulate it and I can put it into words, I don't feel like now I can just magically move on, but it does make it easier for me to find my self-confidence again. It does make it easier. It doesn't erase what happened to me. Doesn't erase, the stuff that I've done, even though, to be honest with you, what I've done to people is nothing compared to what's been done to me. Doesn't erase anything that's been done, but it does set a lot of things right in my mind. You want to hurt me, hurt me. Pain, physical pain especially, it mellows me out. I don't like it, but when I'm going through pain, the most horrendous pain, and I can scream and I can get all that anger and that fury and that fucking like rage out of my system, it changes me afterwards for the better. Because when I'm in pain, I don't have the space or the room to restrain or withhold anything. I can't withhold anything. I don't have the room for that. I have to let it out, which is why when it comes to really bad physical pain, I can really get over it quite quickly, because it's like I can allow myself to free my emotions. And I think the people who have abused me up to this point, they know that. They know that physical pain frees me in a way. Emotional pain keeps me inhibited. I think they learned their lesson. A lot of people learned their lesson from the last people they abused. Because the last people they abused, there was physical intimidation and physical abuse mixed up in that bitch. And they were able to thrive in a way that I never was. You keep somebody's, it's one thing for you to beat somebody up, even though they don't grow up to be a well-adjusted human being. In fact, they grow up to be a ball of repressed anger, resentment, lies, and narcissism most of the time. But they're functioning better than me. The real prison that anybody will ever keep you in is your mind. And if people are hurting you and then gaslighting to you and lying to you about it, preying on your need to be loved, especially as a child, they're preying on your need to be loved, preying on your need to be accepted in order to tell you your pain isn't real. That is probably the most despicable thing you could do to a person. And it's despicable enough to do that to an adult, because adults need to be loved too. They need to fit in too. And people use that in order to diminish people's experiences of being tortured and in some cases murdered. It's despicable enough to do that to an adult. Imagine doing that to a child. And that's been done to me as both a child and an adult. And I don't care whether I deserved it or not. I really don't. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Probably didn't anyway, so it's a fucking moot point. But if you're going to abuse people, if we're going to hurt each other, if we're going to be savages, let's be savages. Fuck it. You know what I mean? If we're going to hurt each other, let's hurt each other. Be honest about what we are. Stop fucking around. Stop being cowardly. And that's not aimed at anyone in particular, but I'm just remembering everything that's happened to me. And I'm thinking, I'm surrounded by cowardly people most of the time who want to do wrong, but don't want to own up to it. Don't want to own what they are. Always have to paint it in another language. Like, why? Do it then. Why do it? Don't hurt people and then try to rewrite their reality and tell them how to fucking feel. That's not the move. That's not the move. That's not the move. And that's what angers me. That's what I'm remembering. at this point in my life, that's what I'm remembering. And I think I always knew that's what the problem was. I just didn't know. And I certainly didn't know how to articulate it. This looks scary. It looks like I'm telling a ghost story. This is ridiculous, look. Yeah. Probably more DW nonsense on my neck and chest. Yeah. But that's what I'm angry about, really. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel the same way? If you don't, then tell me, because I'd like to hear your experiences. Not with what you went through. That is if you don't want to. A lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about their experiences. But if you'd like to let me know about how you feel about what you've gone through, then tell me in the comments. I know that a lot of people watching are TIs, and I know you'll have a story to tell about how you feel about being abused, at least. So let me know. I love you guys. Take care. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.